Yeah, people ask me that all the time, what did you do to raise a priest? And you don't do anything different. You raise a young man, and it's God who calls him to be a priest. So
people do ask us that all the time, like, what did you do? And I think that our answer is we just tried to be a really faithful family. We lived in the mountains when Zach was very young. We lived up in Bailey, and the parish was very much the center of our lives. I directed RCIA, and Zach was an altar server from the time he received his first sacraments, and we taught baptismal prep classes, Steve and I did. So it just was very much just, our faith was very active in our family life.
Initially as a kid, I was like, I didn't want to altar serve initially, because I was like, oh, that's just, I have to do work then. I remember the first day, the priest just came up to us and was like, you're altar serving today, I don't have an altar server. And I was like, I've never been trained, Father. And he goes, well, you'll figure it out as you go along. And it was from that day on until now, I've permanently been an altar server. And so I clearly saw throughout my life of like, okay, we're making an active effort to go, just a little bit extra distance to get to church and all these different things. It's obviously must be something that's important. When we eventually did move down to the city, and I started at a Catholic elementary school at St. James, I started really being able to delve even deeper into the stuff that I had already had the foundation for growing up, and then kind of get to learn more and more on top of that, and realizing that there's always more stuff to learn.
I think in the back of my mind, at least, there was always this feeling that he might become a priest. Even when he was altar serving, the priest would say, Zach's going to be a priest someday. At first it was just like, yeah, he probably says that to everybody. But after multiple priests started saying that, we were like, okay, maybe there's something there that there's going to be a calling for him to do this.
It wasn't surprising. It wasn't anything that I assumed was going to happen, but it wasn't surprising either. If you remember back, you called, I don't know, maybe a week or 2 weeks before that, and he was in college and just said, I just am not happy. I'm not sure what's going on, and I should be happy. I have everything I want to need. I'm just not. And so our conversation with you was just to say, you need to take this to prayer, Zach, and figure out what the Lord is trying to say to you. So when you called a couple weeks later, it was like, okay. But it wasn't surprising. We were thrilled, but
I'm pretty stubborn, so I told Jesus if he wants me to do anything, he has to make it explicitly clear at the time, because I'm oblivious to other things. But yeah, I remember it being a crazy time on my side of things, because like I had planned to talk to you all, but I was an hour ahead of all of you in Iowa, where I was in college, and so we were doing it at 11 o'clock at night, my time. It was blizzarding outside. I was gonna do it in my dorm room, and my roommate was there and decided to have a ton of people over that evening. So I was like, okay, can't go there to do this all. I could, everywhere else, everyone was inside because it was blizzarding. So I went out and I was in my car in the blizzard outside with the heat on, and that's when I called them in the middle of the night, and in Iowa. So yeah, that on my side of things, it was kind of, everything was like all of these crazy extenuating circumstances, but it ended up happening in a Saturn Ion in the middle of like the Butte parking lot at 11 o'clock at night in a snowstorm.
I didn't know that part of the story.
To see your son become a priest, it was overwhelming. He's no longer just my son. He's now, belongs to a much higher calling as a priest. So having the realization that, as parents, we're sharing him. When Eileen and I both went up to the Archbishop and met Zach up there with the gifts, yeah, it was a little bit overwhelming at that point, but it was a good overwhelming.
Yeah, it was a long road, I think, to get there in some ways, but then also as a parent, I think things go by so quickly. It was really beautiful to see all of the priests and deacons from the diocese come in support of these guys as they got ordained. The really emotional moment for me was when Archbishop Aquila, this is before they're actually ordained, but when he says, I approve them to be ordained, and they all turn and face you, and I just I just burst into tears because that's the words that I've been waiting to hear for 8 years. So it was really beautiful to hear those words and then see all of the things that they went through from there.
I mean, there's a lot of different parts in an ordination. For me, it was like Catholic aerobics. I was up and down, all around, everywhere I go. I think the part that really like sunk in, I think, was when he anointed my hands, and then you go back, and all of the altar servers and the deacons and everyone that's back there are just like, all right, Father, come over here. And like that was the first time that they were all calling you Father, and so it was really, that was really where it kind of sunk in, where it's like, whoa, something's happened between when I was here in the sacristy an hour ago and now. Like, it's crazy to think of what's taken place. So, what was it like to see me celebrate Mass for the first time?
It was strange. For me anyways, it was odd to see you up there. Going to Mass, you usually see other priests doing Mass, but to see your son up there was, it was amazing. It was amazing to see him give a homily, to know that he's, consecrating the body and blood. That's something I will never be able to do. And it's just absolutely amazing what he is able and capable of doing as a priest. So,
your gift to us at the end of the Mass, really, it's a tremendous blessing. And I don't remember the name of the white cloth.
Michalczyk.
The Michalczyk that your hands were wrapped in, and so to gift that to me so that I can gift it to Jesus someday is just. Like it's my most prized possession, and to be able to say I gave you my son. I still cry every time I tell somebody that story, and so that was incredible for me that first Mass.